Hey guys, what's going on? My name is WTF. Welcome to another episode of the Game Report. Before we get started this week, I just want to point out that during my Horizon Zero Dawn review last week, I did something horrible that nobody has pointed out to me yet, but I know it's there. And that is that I misspelled legendary. Let me explain, because I know some of you out there have seen it and you're like, this guy just doesn't know how to spell. And you didn't say anything. You just gave the video a like and just moved on. And I love your faces for that. But I did misspell legendary. The first two episodes of the Game Report weren't very well edited. They were rush jobs to get content out on this new show, and I probably shouldn't have done that. So I was like, the third episode, man, it's all going to be about the editing. I'm going to do this perfect. I'm going to get this right. And somehow I was so focused on the graphic overlays and everything being cut with the dead air cut out, and really hammering and doubling down on the visual editing, that when I typed in legendary, I had caught it once and I thought I had went back and fixed it, but I guess I went to add something because when I got to the review, the Horizon Zero Dawn videos, there was too much video, so there was no there was no webcam video in there, and I was like, well, we got to shrink it so that you know you can see my face at the beginning of the review, you can see my face at the end of the review. And when I went back to change it, it went back to the misspelled legendary, and it's just where I typed it in real fast and got a little dyslexic, and a couple of letters switched around, and oh man, I feel like an idiot and a moron and a retard, and you guys just didn't even like flinch, just like that video's got like no thumbs down. It's all like likes and stuff, and I love you guys so much for that. Oh wow. So I'm gonna try not to make the same mistake this week. I promise I'm trying to do better. It's just me here behind the desk, so but I am trying, guys. But this week on the show, we've got a lot to talk about. The topic of the week, of course, is going to be the trust between publishers and gamers and developers, and how that trust can sometimes be broken. And so that's our topic of the week. We don't have a review this week, so we're going to be doing a retrospective. We're going to be doing a retrospective of one of my favorite NES games of all time. It's not what you think it may be, though. The game is called Crystalis, and we'll be taking a look at that also in today's show. Don't forget that you can get the full episode of the Game Report 1 week early over on Patreon for only $1 at patreon.com/StandoTV. Links are always down in the description. Thank you guys so much for supporting my show. Now, before we get started, let's talk about the news that you guys care about. And of course, this week's news is brought to you by Patreon producers of the show, Air-11, Tech Gladiator, and Own Dizzle. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. I appreciate you guys. Just don't understand how much I appreciate that. But let's talk about the news. And the news concerns a boycott. But is it really a boycott? Because boycott means not giving money for our product based on principle. And if you've already given money for the product and decide not to use the product, should the developer care because they already got your money? And that's not really a boycott. Of course, I'm talking about For Honor. Thousands of For Honor players are threatening to boycott the very flawed fighting game that they nevertheless love. Ubisoft addressed some of the most frequent complaints, but not everyone is yet satisfied. Of course, Ubisoft has already updated For Honor's currency system, increasing steal income by 25% across all matches. Map players liked is getting reinstated after Ubisoft removed it earlier in the month, and 12 outfits were also added. The dev team will detail further upcoming changes through a live stream, but in an email, an Ubisoft representative said that today's changes were planned before players started threatening to boycott the game. It should be noted here that since its February release, For Honor players have compiled a laundry list of complaints, including multiplayer connectivity issues, imbalanced heroes, poor matchmaking, and combat glitches. Players have also pointed out that For Honor's unbalanced in-game currency system makes it impossible to unlock all the items and emotes, the high price of items, and frankly pitiful currency gains after matches proved especially frustrating for players, fueling a microtransaction economy that they were thrilled about. So it's kind of interesting. You're going to dwindle the player base down to nothing and killing off the game before it gets started. But in hindsight, it's a good idea. I'm glad Ubisoft is listening to the gamers and they're willing to address and fix these issues. But at the same time, like, we knew these issues were there going into the game, and you've already put your money, and usually a video game makes all the money within that first couple of months. So they've probably made their window for that game, especially with all the other good games coming out around it. But like I said, I'm glad Ubisoft is addressing it. We saw this with Rainbow Six Siege, right? Rainbow Six Siege had huge plethora of problems when it first released, and they continued to support the game throughout the year. And a year later, that game is a very different community and game than it was when it was first released. And many games turn out to be like that. Ubisoft has done that with Division. Hopefully they continue to do that with For Honor. And now let's talk about Cyberpunk some more. Last week we talked about Cyberpunk 2077 possibly coming before June of 2019. But this week we talk about them because CD Projekt Red, the development team of the Witcher series, is currently focused on Cyberpunk 2077, a highly anticipated game that we don't know much about, but it seems that the company is trying to trademark the word cyberpunk. Now, don't get your panties up in a wad just yet. This might sound as an uncool move, but what CD Projekt Red is really trying to do is avoid other companies to use the word cyberpunk in a game title, which totally makes sense, guys. Totally makes sense. You know, they're putting this out there. They don't want their good cyberpunk game. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's like really awesome to get confused with a really shitty game called Cyberpunk, or have a Cyberpunk like the Cyberpunk Legacy, you know, which is a really shitty game, early access, Steam Greenlight, whatever, piece of shit, asset flip game. They just don't want to get confused. So it totally makes sense that they want to trademark that. This doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to use the term cyberpunk. It doesn't mean that you'll never be able to say cyberpunk. They just don't want cyberpunk to be used in the video game title, which totally makes sense. This is familiar practice that we've seen before. Alright, let's talk about Call of Duty. Over the weekend, there's been several Call of Duty World War II leaks, which may have all but confirmed the direction of the new title, but fans are still waiting for Activision to make it official. If you didn't know, cover art and promotional material was leaked over the weekend, while a follow-up report claimed that Call of Duty World War II would be the full name of the new PS4, Xbox One, and PC shooter. Fans are now waiting for official details to be revealed and for the announcement trailer to drop, and while it is possible that Activision will pull the trigger early in order to combat leaks, history suggests that Call of Duty World War II will be unveiled in full towards the end of April or early May. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was unveiled on May 2nd, and Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was announced on April 26th, while Call of Duty Advanced Warfare was planned for May 4th, but ended up being unveiled on May 1st. Prior to this, Call of Duty Ghosts was announced on May 1st, but the full gameplay reveal took place during the Xbox One conference on May 21st. Then there are Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on May 1st, while Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was saved until May 23rd. And the full Destiny 2 reveal thing taking place late over the weekend. Activision may want to let the dust settle before revealing another one of its big franchises. There's still no word on the Call of Duty World War II release date, but it's fair to assume that it will launch around November. The recently leaked images include a promotional poster featuring the D-Day landings, as well as various steelbook cases for the game. Fans are also likely to get a look at the game during E3 Gaming Expo in June. Sledgehammer Games is making this year's installment of the Call of Duty shooter series. Sledgehammer Games boss Glenn Schofield has also posted a few teasers about the upcoming reveal for Call of Duty 2017. Stating that his hands were tied when it came to giving out big details, Schofield told fans on Twitter, quote, "There's nothing I can say about the game except there are boots and ground and I guess some roots. I hope I can talk soon or I may implode. Wait until we reveal. You're gonna go nuts. Or best yet, dude, man, I'm so psyched to show it someday." He also hinted that the reveal date has been set, although he wasn't in a position to share more, adding, quote, "I don't know, I just make the game. Actually, I was in a meeting and just when they said the date, I sneezed, didn't hear it." Which I don't actually believe. Like, you've got to know when your game is coming out, right? But guys, what do you guys think? Call of Duty going back to World War II, is it too late? Is it too late for Call of Duty to right their ship? That's actually the topic of the week. We're going to talk about this trust that has been broken. I'm going to use Activision and the game and the trust there as an overall example, but it's not just that. Like, it could be Ubisoft in the game, or we could be talking about EA and the gamer and that trust that, you know, like when the Xbox first rolled out and we were talking about Xbox One and the DRM issues, and some people were completely turned off, and people who had bought Xbox 360s last year bought PS4 this year because they didn't trust Microsoft no more. That's what we're talking about, is game publishers and trust. But I'm going to be using this as an example for this week's topic of the show, and that's what's coming up next, guys.